Okay, guys, so we're going to do our quick recap on today's trades. Today we traded one stock, we traded SSNT. Unfortunately, it was a red day, and as much as I don't like these red days, they are needed in order to, you know, be able to recognize the risk of day trading and being able to respect your rules. So I have basically I have about 10 rules, and each one of those rules has cost me a good amount of money. So today we added a rule to our trades that we traded, uh, or any trades that we're going to take. We're going to apply this rule, which is breakout or bailout. If a stock does not work whenever you intend it to work, bail out. It's time to get out. So today we are down a good amount trading SSNT. It's kind of upsetting because I was up around 200 bucks on the day, and I got a little bit greedy and I took this trade that cost me probably like around 1,000 bucks. Well, I'm down $828 today, and that's probably one of my biggest losses in a good while. And this was one big loss that it got me down that low. Let's see. So it's called a snowball effect, basically, where you get in a position and it doesn't work. It fails. Usually they fail pretty hard. In this case, it dropped like 60 cents from my entry, so I didn't have any time to really, get out with a smaller loss. I was immediately down 50, 60 cents. And then as it continued to go lower, I was kind of waiting for that pop up. And I just kept adding as the stock was going lower. So you should sometimes you can do that and get away with it. It's definitely riskier. Your potential is to double, triple, quadruple your losses. In this case, I quadrupled it. So usually, you're buying averaging down. That's what you're doing. As you buy at a lower price, your average price becomes lower as well. So it won't take you long to get break even and then possibly green on the day as it comes back up. But there are times that the stock does not do that. It just continues to drive lower like it did. So like it did here. As you can see here, it just continued to go lower and it still has not recovered on the day. So we'll jump into the trades that we took. Today was a very important day for me. I could feel this coming because I had a $300 loss. So this was very similar to the other previous big loss that I had on SONN. I still remember it. It was like a $300 loss. It was about 2 weeks ago, and this was $800 loss. Actually, it was bigger, but since I had profit on the day, so that's why it's a $800 loss. But anyways, we'll jump into the 1 minute chart and look at the trades that we took. So right away, I was this is pre-market. It had to move from $2 or 250 up to a high of $20. So right away, I was kind of feeling FOMO. I was like, man, I missed that huge move, which I never do trade that early in the morning. 7:41 a.m., which is, I don't really trade that early. But anyways, because it's around 6:41 actually. So the place where I got in here was for a support entry of VWAP, which these trades were awesome. I mean, these trades were beautiful. This it hit a high of 1590. It pulled back. I was wanting for an entry at the VWAP. VWAP, this orange dotted line is 1389, and I got filled around $14, so pretty close to it. And $14, and I sold up here around right under 1450. So a almost a 50 cent move with about 225 shares. So nice little $100 right there. So that was the first trade, and I was like, okay, that was a pretty nice one. So I just kind of let it ride. This one it consolidated, it broke the VWAP support, and as you can see here, it flushed. VWAP was 1390. It hit a low of 1306, so a pretty nice size drop there. So I was watching this again for another support entry, which was it hit a low of, we could see that it found support here at 1265. You had several taps here at 1265. Let's see, we'll mark this so we can see it. 1265, it's obvious support level. This is a bear flag, however, but it does not mean that there's not any opportunities. So I got in here around 1265 and sold up here around, I think my best exit was 1305 or 1310. High of this candle was 1313. So I mean that was super, that was a beautiful trade. It doesn't get any more prettier than that. You know, you're buying at the support and selling at the high. 1320 was high of that candle. It could have easily broke that and gone up to 1375. So I sold half of my position here at 1310, sold the other remaining amount around 1285, 1290. And so that was another 50 cent, 40 cent winner on about 225 shares. So that's another 80, 100 bucks. So I was up almost $200 on the day. So at that point, I was like, okay, so anyways, here we can see that, you know, it's a bear flag. It dropped, popped up, and then it failed. Here you can see that it failed that level, 1265 all the way down to 1150, and it continued to go lower. So, okay, so before we jump into the last trade of the day, at this point, I was like, okay, I'm at a good spot today. I don't want to push it. I don't want to get greedy. I am up 150, 200 bucks. You know, that's a solid day. What do I want to do? Do I want to keep trading or do I want to sit tight and just kind of watch? So in my mind, I was telling myself, okay, so if something good pops up, we'll take a trade. If not, we're at a good stopping point here. The market hasn't even opened and we're already, you know, satisfied at where we're at. Okay, so as this was trading, I felt that since it was already below VWAP and the way it was trading, of course, now that I look at it here, you can see that it's that it's clearly stepping down. It stepped down here, broke the VWAP support, bear flag. It broke that bear flag to the downside. So you can see here that it's, you know, stepping down. So that should have been a red flag for me. Decided to overlook it. I apparently missed it. So what I had in mind here was, okay, as soon as the market opens, I'm interested if we can get a flush down to support probably around 1070, because we know that 1070, we know that support buys have been pretty good. So break of $11, you know, down to 1070, 1060, 1050, potentially out there for a move back up to 1150. So from 1050 up to 1150 was my original plan. They kind of jumped the gun on it. They jumped in here and they made the stock go up a good bit right before the market opened. So that kind of threw that off. I would have liked for these candles to stay down here for a dip and then a move up. I think if that would have happened, we would have got that nice solid trade. But since they kind of jumped the gun on it and jumped in a little bit sooner, it made this move pre-market, which kind of messed up my trading plan. Of course, here it does look pretty clean. 1157, break of that level for a move up to 1350. So the way that I saw this was I was waiting for that dip. I did not get the dip right away. So what got me was FOMO, fear of missing out. This stock moved without me. I was disappointed that I did not get in the trade where I had intended to. I was wanting for the market to open, a nice flush down to 1050, jump in here on 1050, boom, then a squeeze up, potentially up to VWAP, which it did here, tap VWAP, but we did not get that flush right out of the gates. So that kind of triggered FOMO. So it hit a high of 1350. I was like, okay, well, it just moved without me. I don't want to miss this, so I'm going to jump in on a pullback. It pulled back. It did pull back down to 1250. There was a bid at 1250, like a 12,000 share order on the bid support, which I look at that as support. So that's where I decided to jump in. I jumped in there and I got filled around 1257, 1256. that bid got taken out immediately. So right away, it dropped all the way down to $12. So from 12.57 down to $12, I'm down 57 cents in a matter of milliseconds. So I couldn't I could not have stopped out right away. You know, if it would have been kind of like a slower trade, maybe if it would have dipped 15 cents, 10, 15 cents, I would have been okay, it's not working, I need to get out. But in this case, it dropped super fast down to $12. So on the move back up, I added to my position at 12.25, hoping to bring my average down to around 12.35, you know, for the move back up to 13. So that would have been a nice, 75 cents or 65 cents on that move up, or even potentially tapping VWAP up here. But no, I mean, that did not happen. It did come back up to 12.50. I am disappointed because it came back up to 12.50. So I was, pretty much break even, and I did not get out. I felt that this stock still had potential because of that move that it had made before, this huge move here. So I felt that it still had potential, so I decided to give it some room. What I should have done was either size down, uh, get out of my position, or actually, half get out, half of my position, and just hold on to the remaining amount and see if it works, or bail out completely, break out or bail out. I held it. So it came down to 12, did not hold 12, came down all the way down to 11.15 on this next candle. If it breaks 11.15, it's breaking support. It broke it. So once on that break, I added and I got filled around $11. I was hoping for a pop up. So my average now was around $12. I was in like right under 500 shares at $12. So in order for me to just become break even, just to get break even, this stock had to get up to $12. And it was a good ways, and it was looking really weak, but I was just kind of locked up. I wasn't able to react. So this stock, it almost halted going down at 9.57. It hit a low of 9.57, almost halted going down. If it would have halted going down, this stock would have gone down another $2. It would have probably hit a low of about from 9.50 down to about 8.50, possibly 8. That would have been really a pretty bad drop. Well, anyways, I ended up just holding this. I did not have any more money to add to the position. I think if I would have had more money, I would have added to my position, making my loss even bigger. So I'm still at a point where I'm not ready. I'm not trading with margin. Margin is where you can buy and sell as many times as you want. Basically, the brokers giving you a line of credit. I don't have that. You have to have a minimum of $25,000. Right now, I'm at like I think 18,000. I'm working my way up to that level, but I don't want to add to that account because I want to build it up myself, prove to myself that I'm worth, getting to that level and having that margin account, being able to day trade. I'm hoping that by the time I get to that level, I'm at a good spot where I'm more disciplined, in control, where I keep these big losses spread apart, where, and even the big losses are small. So, because it's impossible to completely get rid of those losses. Just to, what you can do is just get them far apart and try to minimize the loss, minimize the damage. So, my average was $12 in it with around 430 shares. I was like, okay, well, it's definitely not going to recover. So on this candle, I ended up stopping out at around 980, basically the low of this candle. And that was it. I mean, I cut my loss. It did not recover. 980. I cut it right there. I could have held it a little bit longer and sold up here on 1050, $1.50 loss instead of a $2.30 loss. But I just decided not to because look, it comes down to $8. So now I'm down another almost $2. And here we can see that it did not recover at all. It hit a low of 735. If I would have been holding that from $12, no, that's not That is not the way I trade. I day trade. I buy and sell in the same day. If usually a matter of seconds. If the stock isn't working, well, whenever I get in, I need to get out almost immediately. It's a breakout or bailout. I have a set of rules, and like I said, it's about 10 rules, and each one of those rules has cost me something money. I've learned from those stocks, from those rules, and they've kept me out of trouble. So it's kind of like, tools in my tool bag. All right, so yeah, I think the best, and it's disappointing because we had other stocks that made nice moves today after this one, but I was already maxed out on my loss. I couldn't take any more trades, so that was disappointing. It's never a good feeling when you're green all the day and you end up going red, and then that kind of just triggers something in you that just doesn't let you carry anymore. So you don't care if you're red anymore. You just want to trade, take bigger size. So that's what I think it all led to this point, with me having this pretty big size loss, not being a not being in control, from going green to red. It's just disappointing. I think what I can learn from today is once I have profit, not to be greedy, just be grateful for the profit that you have. Uh, FOMO, don't be a victim of FOMO. And here, definitely, FOMO got me, but uh, I still, I'm still kind of not that disappointed in my entry at 1250 because I think it could have easily went from 1250 back up to 1350, at least to VWAP. Well, yeah, VWAP was around 1350. Buy that support for a move back up, but it just happened to be that the stock was just a little bit too weak out of the out of the gates or after this trade, and then it just continued to go lower. Maybe next time instead of, well, it's because down here on this break it was also a good, I would say it was a good entry. Ross, the guy that I follow on the chat room, he even saw this trade. We took this trade about the same time. I took it right before he did, right before he called it out. We jumped in there. We both saw it, and it was just too weak. And where I stopped out, there was a moment of pause going down, and I was like, well, if it breaks this, it's definitely gonna keep going lower. So I need to just cut it loose here. But originally, what I could have done differently is bail out. That would have stopped everything. That would have kept the loss small. You know, maybe it would have been a tiny loss, but it would have avoided this big red day. And again, it's just a red day. I will recover from it. I'm averaging pretty good on a daily basis. I feel that I am getting on the other side of the fence, or however you want to call it, where I'm being constantly profitable. These red days are impossible to avoid. Now, like I said, what we do want to try to do is keep these losses very far apart and try to keep them as small as possible. We are going to have these blowouts every once in a while, but these are good to remind us to be careful in the markets. All right, guys, so that's it for today. Any questions, just let me know. Thank you.